Hello, listeners, and welcome to Season 2 of PwC's Trend Talks. The conversations of the season will kick off with a journey, quite a long journey, I would say, with a very known name and face of the firm, Sandra Camilleri, an assurance senior manager, who is celebrating 25 years within the firm. Sandra, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you.
Today, get ready because we'll be going a bit down memory lane.
Oh, yes.
I would like to start by taking you back to 25 years ago. Can you share with us how your journey started, your first experiences?
Yes, sure. So it was 1996 when I started working at PwC, just out of university. Those days, we used to be interviewed at university by the Big Four. I remember being quite anxious, waiting for a reply. I was already inclined that if given the choice, I would join Coopers & Lybrand. At the time, it was my first preference. I had a dear friend, Elaine, there. I hope she's listening. Already working there, so I knew a little bit. Yes, and so you can imagine how happy I was when I got that call and that I was accepted. Well, actually, it wasn't me who got the call. It was my parents because at that time we didn't have mobiles or email. So obviously it was through a call or a letter. Yes, 25 years and they went by just like a flash of lightning, I can tell you.
I can imagine. I feel I saw a lot of changes happen within the firm myself, but I can only imagine that you have seen quite a bit yourself as well in terms, I don't know, the office, technology. What were the main changes that you remember?
Oh, yes. If we had to take technology, I mean, when I started, there was no internet. We didn't even have laptops, so the audit file was a manual file. So you can imagine us casting a long stock list, never ending, getting it wrong in the last page. You have to start all over again. So yes, technology nowadays makes it much more easier.
Possibly more efficient, and the tasks as well that the auditor does are more value-adding rather than, ticking.
Exactly. We became experts at that time in using the calculator, but obviously, like you're saying, it's more value-added now these days. The offices, I mean, at that time when I joined, we were in the Valletta office. So every Monday morning, we used to go back to office to take the manual files back to the manager and grab the ones to go and start the new audit.
And how did you use to communicate? So, and knowing on which audits you were, how did that happen?
We had a manual planner, which we used to refer to every Monday morning. So it was color coded by manager, and there used to be the jobs that we were planned on. Back to the manual files, I mean, we used to park mainly at St. Elmo those days, but the uphill to Merchant Street office was quite tough, especially if you had more than one file to carry. But anyway, we did it. Then we moved offices just right after the merger in 1998, 2 times in Imriel. And eventually to the present offices that we are at now. I mean, a big change. The audit room used to be about 100 square meters at the time in Valletta office. We now have a floor of about 2,300 square meters. So it says a lot there.
Quite impressive.
Indeed.
In terms of people now, obviously we refer to, the technology and whatnot, but from a people side, if I recall correctly, the firm was around 100 people and now we're more than 600. That for sure has impacted the way you interact, the way the way groups are formed, the way people deal with each other. How have you seen that?
Yes, when I first joined, we were probably even less than 100 employees. We were very close. I knew everybody in the office, so it was like there was a sense of belonging right away. As soon as you join, you are on a team doing one audit, but immediately you'd know the other teams because we used to meet on Monday morning before we go to the client. We used to organize a lot of events, in fact, together because being so close. The office grew, the firm grew, and so did the number of people. But I think it has its advantages as well, because you get to meet a lot of people from different backgrounds, different nationalities, different cultures. It's interesting. I mean, possibly a little bit more of a challenge to manage. But people are the firm's assets.
It's like a little world in one place at this point in time.
Exactly. I mean, I like to get to know people, and being a fan of traveling, I still have a list of places to visit after getting to know about them through the people I met here. I mean, one girl, Cleo, for example, had prepared a whole itinerary for my trip to the Philippines.
How sweet.
I'm keeping it safe until I'll tick it off my bucket list.
Mm-hmm. The perks of working with people from different nationalities.
Yes, free travel tips.
You mentioned that you love to travel.
Yes.
And one of the opportunities of assurance primarily would be secondments. Did you have that opportunity?
Yes, I did. I was on secondment at the Brussels office in Belgium, and also in the Philadelphia and Baltimore offices in the USA. I mean, they are unique experience.
And for how long did you go?
For 4 months and 3 months. I mean, a girl from tiny Malta going into those big, huge places. You get to learn a lot. I mean, professionally. I mean, the size of the clients that I was working on, I had never experienced that before. And you'd say, wow, these zeros, never ending. You get to know about other countries, and you get to know a lot about yourself. So I can tell you the experience is very unique. I made friends along the way who I'm still in touch with these days. There were obviously some tough days, especially in the US with the tight deadlines. You have to work late, etc. But those didn't bother me as much as driving on snowy roads. I couldn't take that. I mean, that was
we're surely not
really
used to that.
difficult for me. And also, when I was in Belgium, I had a client outside of Brussels, and I was asking for documents, to corroborate the information, etc. And they give me documents in Flemish. I mean, wow. I obviously had to go back and say, listen, do you have these in English? And anyway, you experience
it's part of the experience that helps us grow as well.
Exactly. But ultimately a very positive experience. And I recommend it to everyone who has the opportunity for it.
Thanks for sharing that, Sandra. I want to move on a bit. You're very much known as a people person, a people manager. You're part of the activities committee of the firm. I always remember you as part of that committee. I find that sometimes there's this perception that, within an order firm, we're all the time focused on work, we're focused on deadlines and clients. But I find that you manage the rest really well. Can you share some tips as how you manage to do that?
Being part of the activities committee, I mean, I love it. It adds on to my duties. So obviously sometimes I end up doing more after working hours, but I really enjoy it. We started off as a small committee, with some bingo nights there, and then we organized like Oktoberfest celebrations. But then we started with the treasure hunts, which we used to organize ourselves, going around the roads in Valletta and Vittoriosa.
I remember running around with you and Medina, testing out the timing of the treasure hunt.
Those were successful events, and when you see people joining and having fun, you want to do even more. I mean, with COVID and everything, we haven't been organizing much. I always encourage my teams to attend such events. I believe they are very important, these events happening outside office hours, because they're a good opportunity to get to know your colleagues who you're spending a lot of time with during the day. And going back to the office the next day, it's more fun because now you can relate.
True. And you learn another side of the person, because typically we deal with each other, on clients in a professional way. Obviously, during events, you have the opportunity to get to know the personal side of your colleagues as well.
Exactly.
Linking a bit to your role as well within the firm is your positive attitude, I must admit that when we used to do audits around 15 years ago, I used to admire your positive attitude even when you used to visit us at a client, you used to get us goodies and always sort of encourage us and thank us you used to motivate us very, very well. First of all, well done for that, because at least from my experience, used to make our working days much, much nicer. It's such a small act of kindness, but it makes such a big difference. And how do you manage to do that constantly?
Not easy. I do have my moments. But I think we cannot take the positive for granted. We need to accentuate the positive. Obviously, you come across all sorts of experiences in life that might put you down. But then my belief is that you need to let go of anything you cannot control and focus on what you can do. Keeping calm is very important. And you need to believe that you need to bounce and not break in situations of negativeness. We only have one life to live. It's happening right now. So we need to embrace it. And as my dear late friend Yvette used to say, seize the moment. So yes, we need to be positive.
Thank you for sharing that. You have just mentioned a dear friend as well. So I wanted to ask you, beside your professional growth, which I'm sure during the years you have, improved and developed quite a lot, even through your role now, what has the firm given you beside the professional side of things?
Yes, professionally, undoubtedly, there's a lot of growth. Because you come out of university and there's so much more to learn every day till this day. Personally, I feel I've grown a lot as well. Through the opportunities and the events and the training, you develop, you have an open mind, you have the desire to learn and dealing with different situations. Not just at the office, even in outside life, dealing with different people, those coaching skills, organization skills, which are handy in
your life as well.
Exactly. But the biggest gift that PwC has given me is definitely friendship, friends from all over the globe. And friends for life. Tanya, I've had Christine, Isabel, Marie. I had so many more. There's so many more. I don't want to miss out on anyone. We still meet and have our regular catch-up meetings, kind of, even if they might have chosen the different paths. But yes, friends for life, I would say. Very nice, very positive message that I'm sure even our listeners and also our colleagues will relate very much to what you're saying. Our time is almost up. And at the end of every podcast, I typically always ask my guests what is their message to the younger generation. As you know, as a firm, we are very much connected to the student community, to the future of our little island. What would be your message to those who are starting right now their professional career with us? Working at PwC, there's never a dull moment. It gives you the opportunity to work on different tasks with different people. It's a very dynamic job. My message to the young ones is not to underestimate the honor of working for such a professional firm. You are part of it and you should feel very proud of your achievements so far and also those yet to come. So my message is work hard, but always enjoy what you do. Thank you very much, Sandra. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for your time.
Special thank you to our listeners as well for tuning in and watch this space for obviously our second podcast of season 2.